Hey YouTube, it's Gibby again. Today we're going to be breaking down the difference between M, Rem, and pixels in CSS. Let's get started. So in order to go over M, Rem, and pixels, we need to zoom out a little bit and just look at all CSS units in general. They can be broken down into two groups, absolute and relative. Absolute units are CSS units that are fixed. They won't change no matter the elements on the page or the browser. You can kind of think of them as concrete. Now you might recognize some of these absolute units. They include pixels, inches, centimeters, and millimeters. So I won't go over the other units of measurement. I will go over pixels though. Pixels are 1/96 of an inch. They're an absolute value, which won't change. This can lead to accessibility issues. Some users may need larger fonts to interact with the web page. That's why absolute values aren't recommended. Considering there's a numerous amount of devices out there, each with a unique screen size, having a non-scalable font can lead to design and accessibility issues. Just know that you can use them, but I would avoid using them for font. Using them for margin and padding is perfectly fine. So next up, we'll go over the relative units in CSS. Relative units are units of measurement that get their values from the internet browser or elements on the page. Relative units include M, root M, view width, view height, and percentage. The first relative unit I want to go over is M. M gets its value from the parent element or from the browser settings. Here's a little example I set up to show you how M works. I set up a section and I put two heading tags inside, as well as a p tag. So since M gets its font size or value from its parent element, I set the font size in the section to 32 pixels. This means that this H1 element is 2M, which means it's going to be 64 pixels. Followed by the H2, I gave it 1M, so that's going to be exactly 32 pixels, just like the parent element. And in this p tag, I gave it half, which means it's going to be 16 pixels. Also, what I want to show you about M is that if you do not give your parent element a font size, it would get the font size from the browser. So most browsers have a default font size of 16 pixels. Here in Microsoft Edge, I'm going to go to the settings. I'm going to go to font size. I'm going to set it to very large. And we go back to our code pen. You can see it gets larger. So it does interact with the browser's font size. The next relative unit I want to go over is rem. Rem stands for root M. Gets its value from the browser or the root HTML. So here's the same example I just showed you, but now with rem. As you can see, I gave the section and the body font sizes of 32 pixels, but because it's rem, it does not get its value from the parent elements. Instead, it gets it from the HTML or the browser. So if I comment out this HTML, I'm going to uncomment it right now. And as you can see, it gets larger. It's where it gets its value from. If you don't give the HTML font size property, I'm going to show you what happens. So we're going to comment out this HTML. It goes back down to that size. That size is 16 pixels. The default value for most browsers is 16 pixels. So we're going to go into the settings again. I'm going to switch it to very large just to show you. And we come back and it's got the larger font. So it will get the value from the browser. I'm not going to go over the other relative units. Just know that they're view width. It gets its height from the width of the viewport or the device. View height, which gets its value from the height of the device. And percent, which is the percentage of the parent element. That's going to be it for this video on CSS units. I hope I covered enough for you, and I hope this helped you out. Thanks for watching.